After I paid for their house, my daughter-in-law said, "You've given enough, now leave us alone." She changed the locks while I stood in the cold. My son peeked through the window and turned away. I clenched my teeth and said, "You'll see the consequences when you open that door again." I'm a 64-year-old man from Dayton, Ohio, and this has been eating at me for over a year now. I wasn't going to say anything, but the silence is starting to rot something inside me. Maybe if I put this down, someone out there will understand. Or maybe it'll just help me breathe again. My son Nathan was all I had left after my wife passed. Cancer took her fast, and after that, I poured everything I had into raising him right. I worked 60-hour weeks at the garage, missed holidays, skipped vacations, and wore the same boots for 8 years so I could put a little more away for his future. I didn't do it for praise. I did it because he was my boy. When Nathan met Cassie, I tried. God knows I tried. She was always polite, but there was a chill to her, like I was being tolerated. Not respected. Not welcomed. I saw it, but I told myself it didn't matter as long as Nathan was happy. That was my first mistake, ignoring my gut. Things started to shift a couple years into their marriage. Nathan called me late one night, real nervous. Said they were about to get evicted. Cassie had stopped working when Emma was born, and his startup was tanking. They were underwater, bad. He said, "Dad, we're drowning here. I don't want to bring Emma into a shelter." It crushed me. I had just sold my house and downsized to a condo. The money was meant to stretch through retirement, maybe get me through another 20 years. But what was I going to do? Let my granddaughter live in a car? So I bought them a house. Cash. No mortgage. I even let them put it in Nathan's name, to avoid any weird tension with Cassie. I just said, "This is for Emma." I'm not trying to control anything. I just want to help. And I meant that. I didn't expect anything in return, except to be part of their lives. At first, it was all right. I helped them move in, fixed the leaky kitchen faucet, replaced a few light fixtures, even put together Emma's new bed. For a little while, I felt like a part of something. I'd stop by every week or two, usually with groceries or a new toy for Emma. Cassie didn't say much, but Nathan seemed grateful. Then, things started getting weird. Texts went unanswered. Calls went to voicemail. I stopped getting invited over. When I asked Nathan, he said Cassie was feeling overwhelmed and wanted to set boundaries. That word, boundaries, got thrown at me like a wall. And every time I asked what I'd done wrong, he just got quiet. One time, I drove by just to drop off a bag of clothes I bought for Emma. I knocked, waited, knocked again. I saw the curtain shift. Cassie opened the door an inch and said, "We're in the middle of dinner." I held up the bag. "Just some winter clothes for Emma. You didn't answer my texts." She looked at the bag like it was trash and said, "She has plenty. You don't need to keep doing this." And then she closed the door. Not a thank you. Not a goodbye. A few weeks later, I showed up with a birthday cake and a wrapped dollhouse I built by hand. Emma was turning 5. I had spent weeks painting and assembling it in my garage. I was proud of it. It wasn't fancy, but it was solid. Real wood. Made with love. Cassie opened the door, blocked the entrance with her body, and said, "We're just having a small party. Daycare friends only." I said, "I'm her grandfather." She said, "We're trying to raise her with healthy boundaries. We appreciate what you've done, but it's time to respect our space." I stood there, holding that cake like a damn idiot. She didn't even take it. The worst part? I could hear Emma in the background. "Is that Grandpa?" Cassie didn't even turn. Just said, "We'll call you later," and shut the door. They never called. The final straw came a week later. I drove by again, thinking maybe I'd try to talk to Nathan alone. The locks were changed. I knocked. No answer. I knocked harder. I saw movement inside. Then I saw him, Nathan, peek through the blinds. He saw me. We made eye contact. I raised my hand, hoping he'd open the door. He just turned away. A minute later, Cassie opened the door, stood in the frame, arms crossed, and said flatly, "You've given enough. Now leave us alone." I asked, "So that's it? After everything?" She didn't flinch. "We're moving forward. Alone." Then she shut the door. I heard the deadbolt click. I stood on that porch in the cold as snow started to fall. My legs were shaking not from the cold, but from what was building inside me. Rage, hurt, betrayal, all of it boiled into a single thought. I leaned close to the door and said, quiet but clear, "You'll see the consequences when you open that door again." I didn't yell. I didn't curse. But something shifted inside me. I realized right then, I had been too generous, too trusting. They didn't just take my money. They took my love and spat it back in my face. They forgot whose name paid for that deed. They forgot who sacrificed everything. They're about to remember. I didn't go back to that house for 2 months after Cassie slammed the door in my face. But every single day, I thought about it. Not just the money, though I'd be lying if I said it didn't matter. It was the way they erased me. Like I was some stray dog who wandered in too far. Like I wasn't family. Like I hadn't given up everything for them. I started pulling up records. The house, my house, was titled solely in Nathan's name. I agreed to it because I didn't want to step on their marriage. But now I realized how stupid that was. Legally, I had no claim, no rights, nothing. But I had receipts, the wire transfer, the closing documents with my bank account on them, even emails from the realtor thanking me for the purchase. I didn't tell anyone what I was planning. I didn't need sympathy. I needed leverage. First thing I did was reach out to an attorney, Lori Benton. She'd handled probate stuff when my wife passed. I trusted her. I laid it all out. Showed her the money trail, the emails, even texts from Nathan thanking me for changing our lives. Lori leaned back in her chair, sighed, and said, "It's ugly, but it's something. You want to go nuclear?" I said, "I want them to feel what I felt that night." She told me I had a possible civil claim, unjust enrichment, maybe even fraud if I could prove Cassie manipulated me into the purchase under false pretenses. I filed the suit quietly. I didn't tell Nathan. I let the process server do that for me, right there at their doorstep. About a week later, Nathan showed up at my condo. First time I'd seen him face to face since he turned away behind those blinds. He didn't knock. He banged. I opened the door. He didn't even look like himself, eyes red, hair a mess. He shoved the papers at me. "What the hell is this, Dad?" I said, "You want space. This is what space looks like." "You're suing us?" "No. Nathan, I'm suing you. For taking my money, shutting me out, and acting like I'm the villain in a story where I gave you everything." He tried to pull that "you said it was a gift" defense. I reminded him of the agreement we made, informal, yes, but clear. I help with the house. They let me be part of the family. He said, "Cassie was right. You don't know boundaries." I said, "Cassie doesn't know what loyalty looks like." He left before I could finish. After that, things got colder. I got a call from Emma's daycare. They said my visitation pickup privileges had been removed. Cassie had updated the emergency contact list. I asked if I could just drop off a book for Emma. They said I wasn't allowed on the property anymore. Cassie was cutting me off from my granddaughter. I had no rights as a grandparent in Ohio unless I could prove it was in the child's best interest. That's when I started building a different case. One not just about money, but about character. I hired a private investigator. It didn't take long. Cassie wasn't just cold. She was calculated. There were social media posts, quietly locked to private friends, about how she manipulated the old man into buying a house and finally got control of our lives. Screenshots, dates, the whole thing. Even worse, the PI found out Cassie had reconnected with her ex, a guy with a history of drug arrests. Pictures of them together, laughing at a bar while Nathan stayed home with Emma. I didn't go to the court with it yet. I wasn't done collecting. I wanted to let the rot show on the outside, give them time to panic. I wanted Nathan to look Cassie in the eye and wonder what else she lied about. Because now I had proof that she used me, that she poisoned my son against me, and that she was about to tear apart the very family I bled to protect. They thought I'd go quietly, that I'd cry into my TV dinners and fade away. They were wrong. The lawsuit was still crawling through the court system, but the damage had already started to surface. Word got around. Quietly at first, a few whispers at church, a couple of old friends asking, "You and Nathan doing all right?" I didn't answer them. Not yet. But I wasn't the only one people were asking questions about. Cassie's private posts weren't as private as she thought. One of her friends, maybe someone tired of her games, sent me screenshots directly. Posts mocking me, saying things like, "We finally trained the old man to stay off our porch," or "No more guilt gifts from Daddy Wallet." Those screenshots made their way to the court filings. So did the pictures of her out with that guy Troy Mancuso, her ex, with a long record and a fresh probation case for meth possession. Nathan still didn't know about the pictures, but he was starting to crack. A mutual friend told me he'd been asking around, looking for lawyers, asking questions about civil fraud and whether a parent can take back a house. He was starting to realize he didn't actually own that house, not morally, and maybe not even legally. That's when things turned. One night, around 11 p.m., I got a knock on my condo door. It was Nathan. Alone. No Cassie. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "I need to talk," he said. I let him in. We sat in silence for a minute. Then he said, "Did you hire someone to follow us?" I said, "I did what I had to do after you locked me out of your life." He rubbed his face. "I didn't know she posted that stuff. About you. About the money." I didn't say anything. I just let the weight of it sit there. Then he said something I'll never forget. "She told me you offered to buy the house to get control. That you threatened to take Emma if we didn't let you move in someday." That hit like a truck. Because it was a lie so big, it made me physically sick. I stood up. "You think I'd ever use Emma like that?" He looked down. I don't know what to believe anymore. I handed him a manila folder. Inside were the screenshots, the photos, the financial trail. He looked through them. At first, just flipping fast. Then slower. His face went pale. "That's Troy," he said. "She said she hadn't talked to him in years." I nodded. "They're still talking. They meet up. She posts about it. And the whole time, she's been feeding you lies about me." He didn't say anything. Just sat there, shaking. Then he whispered, "She said if I chose you, I'd lose Emma." I said, "Son, you already lost me. And now you're watching her take everything else." Nathan left that night without saying another word. 2 days later, I got a letter from the court. Cassie had filed for legal separation. Another envelope arrived the same week from Child Protective Services. Someone had anonymously reported unfit conditions in the home. I didn't make the call, but I know who did. Nathan moved out within the month, into a cheap apartment in Beaver Creek. Emma came with him. Cassie was left in that house, my house, alone. I could have stopped there. I could have let the legal case drag out and watched her drown in court fees and lies. But I wasn't finished, because it wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about Emma, about legacy, about setting the record straight. So I made one more move. Cassie didn't see it coming. She thought the worst was behind her. Nathan had moved out. The separation was filed. She had the house, even if she was struggling with bills. She thought I'd disappear now that she cut me off from Emma. She underestimated me again. While the civil suit worked its way through court, I made one last move, a quiet one, but powerful. I went to the IRS. I submitted a full report, backed by documents from my attorney and the PI. The house wasn't just a gift. It was an undeclared financial transfer over the gift tax threshold. Nathan and Cassie should have filed it. They didn't. The IRS opened a case. Within 3 weeks, Cassie got a certified letter. Then another. By the fourth one, she called Nathan in a panic. I know because he told me. She owed over $30,000 in penalties and back taxes, and she had no way to pay. Her lawyer filed a motion to stall the civil suit, citing financial hardship. My attorney denied it. We pushed forward. Then came the deposition. Cassie had to sit in a room, under oath, and answer every question with me across the table. My lawyer asked her straight, "Did you ever express an intent to return the money used for the purchase of the home?" "No." "Did you ever make a single payment toward the mortgage, taxes, or utilities on the property?" "No." "Did you, at any time, refer to the plaintiff as Daddy Wallet in social media posts?" She froze. We showed her the screenshots. She cried. Right there. In front of lawyers and a court reporter. She asked for a recess. We denied it. Let her sit in her shame. The final ruling came 6 weeks later. The judge sided with me. Unjust enrichment. Fraud by omission. Abuse of fiduciary trust. The court ordered the sale of the house and awarded me the full amount I paid, plus legal fees. Cassie had 30 days to vacate. The sheriff's notice was posted on her door 2 weeks later. She called me once. Just once. It was a voicemail. "You ruined my life." I didn't call back. I saved the message, though. Sometimes I play it when I need reminding of how far I let things go. Nathan, for what it's worth, took responsibility. He apologized. Not just once. Many times. He moved back in with me for a while, with Emma. She's 8 now. Smart as a whip. And kind. She calls me Grandpa again. We bake cookies together. We plant tomatoes in the backyard. Cassie's gone. Moved back with her mother in Michigan. I don't know if Nathan lets her see Emma. That's not my fight. I don't feel good about what I did, but I don't regret it. They stood behind a locked door and looked at me like I was nothing. like I hadn't poured my life into them. Now the door's gone. So is the house. And I'm still standing.